perspective, or in other words, point of view. Go ahead, Ayo.
Like when you're viewing something or like seeing through someone else's eyes.
But whose eyes in general?
The character's eyes?
Yes, very good. And yes, very good actually. Character's eye. Character's viewpoint. Are there biases to a point of view? To how a person tells a story?
I don't know what a bias is.
Oh, sorry. A bias is pretty much, does the person give their own opinion to what the story is all about?
No.
Do they include opinions?
No. Some.
Yes, they do. They do, very good. A perspective is
Isn't it the same thing as like a narrator?
all connected, yes. Very good. Perspective is just another broader term because there isn't always a narrator. That's only in like a book or a story. But a perspective is pretty much like how people have different perspectives on politics, like presidential debates and stuff. What else do people have different perspectives on? Religion is another perspective of how you view the world. There's also perspectives about how people should teach students. Literally, there's debates on whether it's, you guys don't know this, but different schools, private school, public school, which one is the best fit for a child? Where do they get the most, what will they get the most out of it, and what ways will it benefit, and what ways is it not beneficial? Get it? So perspective is character's point of view. It is opinionated. So a person isn't always giving factual information. They're giving their experience through their eyes, their opinions of what happened. So the point is that everyone has a different perspective. Like the story we're going to be reading, it's about the Native Americans' experience. Native Americans' experience about Columbus's travels to their land. Okay, so remember this in hand. Narrator is a storyteller, narrative is the story itself, and perspective is, what is perspective again?
It's like the person's point of view.
Yes, exactly, perfect. Okay, so now the book we're going to be reading is called Encounter by Jane Yolen. It's about a story through a Native American's perspective of Columbus. What do you guys see in the picture itself? Go ahead, Amira.
In the background, I see like, it looks like a dust or like an explosion because I see the back smoking all the way in the back.
Yeah, very
And
good.
then I think the child is a Native American.
Very good.
And I see Christopher Columbus in the picture.
That's really good. Yes. Were you going to add something? Okay. Alright, it says, the moon was well overhead and our great fires had burned low. A loud clap of thunder woke me from my dream. All dreams are not true dreams, my mother says, but in my dream that night, 3 great winged birds with voices like thunder rode wild waves in our bay. They were not like any birds I had ever seen, for sharp white teeth filled their mouths. Pretty right?
In the picture, it looks like a boat right there because there's like a spine.
Oh, that's really interesting. And then where are they? They're in the
Ocean.
yeah. See.
Then a large body of water.
Yeah.
And the body of the bird looks like it's just like sailing across. And the head looks like a symbol or something.
Yeah. Like this is kind of interesting. I don't know what this is, but
It's like a ribbon or something.
yeah, a ribbon on them.
And their eyes.
All of them have it.
The white looks like sails on the boat.
Oh,
yeah. But
Interesting, yeah. Alright, it says, I left my hammock and walked to the beach. There was my dream birds again, only now they were real. stared at them through the night. When the sun rose, each great canoe gave birth to many little ones that swam awkwardly to our shore. I ran and then found our chief, still sleeping in his hammock. Do not welcome them, I begged him. My dream is a warning. But it is our custom to welcome strangers and to give them tobacco leaves and feast them with pepper pods and to trade gifts. You are but a child, my chief said to me. All children have bad dreams. Pretty right? What do you guys see?
So the burden is like the flag, supposing? The burden of the pirates.
It's really interesting, yeah. Really good point. Very good, Anna. Okay. It says, the bay canoes spat out my strange, they spat out, the baby canoes spat out many strange creatures, men but not men. We did not know them as human beings, for they hid their bodies in colors like a parrot. Their feet were hidden also, and many of them had hair growing like bushes on their chin. 3 of them knelt before their chief and pushed sticks into the sand. Then I was even more afraid. Very pretty, right?
The details in the book, that really told me who the people were.
I know, very good. What can you see here? What do you guys see? What do you? Oh, okay, go ahead. I hope.
They're like marking their territory.
Very good. I was gonna ask you that as one of the last questions. Very good. And why do you think they're marking their territory? What do they plan to do? Possibly. Go ahead, Amira.
Maybe take the gold goods and find a new place for their people to live. Maybe.
Very good. Anna?
Like Native Americans are hiding and spying on them to see what they'll do to make
Yes.
sure it's safe to go out.
Very good. So they're looking for if they introduce themselves. And so what do you guys think they mean by they were here, this part it says, we did not know them as human beings, for they hid their bodies in colors, like parrots. What does that mean? Go ahead, Amira.
Like they had paints on their face, like natural colored paints on their face.
Close, what do you think?
They're wearing clothing.
Yes. They're wearing clothing. And what do you see with the Native
Oh, I
Americans?
thought you were talking about the Native Americans.
Oh,
For the paints.
that makes sense. What do you see the difference between them and the explorers? Anna?
Like they have like long hair and they're short and they don't have clothes and they're like different
Yes.
color skin.
So they have a different culture of what they wear as opposed to the Spanish explorers. And then it also says their feet were hidden also. What does that mean? Go ahead, Ayu.
They're wearing shoes.
Yes, they're wearing shoes, which also means that if they're wearing shoes, what does that mean on Native Americans? Do they wear shoes? Go ahead.
No.
No, yeah. Interesting, right? I mean, it's nothing to judge, but it's interesting to see the variations of culture, how they vary. Okay, it says, our young men left the shelter of the trees. I, who was not yet a man, followed crying. Do not welcome them. Do not call them friends. No one listened to me, for I was but a child. Our chief said, we must see if they are true men. So I took one by the hand and pinched it. The hand felt like flesh and blood, but the skin was moved to my son. The stranger made a funny voice with his mouth, not like talking, but like barking as of a yellow dog. So, you guys see. Go ahead, Anna.
The boy he pinched and when she said they were barking, it was like he was screaming.
Maybe, yes. Well, what can you tell from the illustration? Go ahead, Amira.
The kid was wondering about, since they had different skin tones, he was like, oh, what is this? Because he doesn't know.
He wasn't sure
Yeah.
if they were human or not. Yes, very good. Were you gonna add something right here? Okay.
Alright guys, যাও নামাজে যাও, মাগরিবের কিন্তু টাইম নাই।
5 more minutes?
No 5 more minutes. আগে নামাজ।
Almost done.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
5 more minutes. Okay. Our chief said to us, "See how pale they are? No one can be that color who comes from the earth. Surely they come from the sky." Then he leaps before them and put his hands up, pointing to the sky to show he understood how far they had flown. "Perhaps they have tails," and said my older brother. "Perhaps they have no feet." Our young men smiled and behind their hands so that the guest would not feel bad. Then they turned around to show that they had no tails. Interesting, right? So what do you think they mean by they came from the sky? What does that imply? What do the Native Americans believe? Yeah, go ahead.
Since they were so pale and the clouds are so white, maybe that's why they came from the sky.
Very good. And what do you think it means if they came from the sky?
They're like angels.
Possibly, yes.
That's why
Very
they
good.
have like wings or something.
That's really good. That's why they also think that they probably have tails and they're like different from they're different beings, not human. What do you want to add, Akila?
I think the description fits like birds instead of angel.
Yeah, very good.
The tail. And the illustration shows like they have wings, and then like because they're colored as mermaids, and there's birds also in the sky.
Yeah. They do look similar to the first dream the boy had, right?
Yeah. The books.
Mm-hmm. It says, "Our chief gave the strangers balls of cotton thread to bind them to us in friendship. He gave them spears that they might fish and not starve. He gave them gum rubber balls for sport. He gave them parrots too, which made our young men laugh behind their hands all over again, knowing that it was our chief's a little joke that the strangers look like parrots. But the strangers behaved almost like human beings, for they laughed too, and gave in return tiny smooth balls, the color of sand and sea and sun, strung upon a thread, and they gave hollow shells with tongues that sang ching ching, and they gave woven things that fit upon a man's head and could cover a boy's ears. For a while I forgot my dream. For a while I was not afraid." Do you understand? What did they give them? Well, this is the Native American's perspective. What exactly? Anna, Marshall.
The Christopher Columbus and his crew gave him like jewelry and hats.
Very good. Do you guys want to add anything? So what is the ching ching noise? Go ahead, Amira.
The necklace, bell necklace,
Uh-huh.
or
They-
belt.
Yeah, they've never heard of it. So they thought it made a noise of its own, like a living creature. Interesting. To see things through like a first person who's never seen anything like this. Okay, it says, "So we built a great feasting fire and readied the pepper pots and yams and casserole of bread and fresh fish. For though the strangers were not quite human beings, we would still treat them as such. Our chief rolled tobacco leaves and showered them with smoke. And our chief rolled tobacco leaves and showed them how to smoke, but they coughed and snorted and clearly did not know about these simple things." Pretty, right? So, who is who? Who do you think he is? Go ahead, Amira.
I think wearing a weird looking necklace.
Who do you think is telling the story through this whole picture? Who would you point out? Go.
The boy.
Yes. Where do you think the boy is?
I think boy is where he is.
Right here? Very good. And where is Christopher Columbus, if you can point at him? Okay, go on.
Yeah.
Very good. And how can you tell that that's him compared to the other people? Amira?
Because he's wearing clothes.
Yes, very good. He's relaxed a little bit, but he also has shoes, and the other ones don't. So that's one way to look at it. And just in general, he has a cap on. And there's also one other person. This is probably, who is this?
A guard.
Close. It's, well, does he have a hat
Yeah.
or a shield on?
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
He's part with Columbus.
Yes, very good, Ahil. Yes. So he is one of the sailors, one of his crew members. Okay. He also has clothes on too. Yes. Okay. It says, then I leaned forward and stared into their chief's eyes. They were blue and gray like the shifting sky. Suddenly I remembered my dream and stared at each of the strangers in turn. Even those with dark human eyes looked away like dogs before they were driven from the fire. So I drew back from the feast, which is not what one should do, and watched how the sky strangers touched our golden nose rings and our golden armbands, but not the flesh of our faces or arms. I watched their chief smile. It was a serpent's smile, no lips and all teeth. I jumped up crying, do not welcome them, but the welcome had already been given. Who is that? Columbus? Yes, very good. And what is he saying about Christopher Columbus? What he noticed about him and the other sailors?
He noticed that they were looking at their gold, and in the
Yes.
picture it
Very good.
shows Christopher Columbus looking at this piece of gold, like he's really interested and he wants it.
Do you want to add something on it?
The boy noticed that how he was looking at it and how he was touching the stuff, wanted to take it.
Very good. See?
And he told them not to welcome them.
Yeah.
Welcome already.
Very good. So he noticed their possible greed for the items as opposed to their kindness towards their people.